Hi everybody, Jason back again with another video, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about Nintendo controllers. So I know that this isn't necessarily every single Nintendo controller out there, but over the last little while I've been playing quite a few Nintendo games, and I decided, I'm going to test out a few of the different play options that I have. So a few of the, basically the controllers that I'm going to be talking about today are going to be the classic Nintendo controller. We've also got the NES Max controller, and then lastly I've got the NES Advantage. So basically, these controllers have existed in different forms over the course of the Nintendo's life cycle. Most predominantly that everyone's going to know is this nice rectangular Nintendo controller. It's classic, it's small, it's simple, and that's definitely what Nintendo's focus has always been. Keep it nice and simple with the controller. But as you probably already know, I mean, like, how do you hold this comfortably? Like, where do you put your fingers? Like, how do you hold this without the thing like digging into your actual hand? Like, even like your fingers on the side here, it's like either you're holding it a little bit on the corner or like you're sort of cradling it underneath. When I was playing Super Mario Brothers, I found myself like getting like lines on my fingers from holding this thing. But the thing is that out of like this one and the NES Max, I found it to be like the most responsive and the easiest to use. I mean, it definitely is a classic. It holds true to the test of time, and for the games that are made for the system, there's nothing better to play it with than this. I mean, if you just want like a classic controller, this is exactly what you need. Nice thing too is that comparing to like other game controller like cables, it's actually like a nice length. I really like that. But it's with everything being wireless now, it's really no competition. And then we've got this little guy. This is the newest addition to my Nintendo controller collection. I had completely forgotten about this, and then I was shopping at a used game store recently, and I saw it, and I was like, well, I kind of need to pick that up. I do collect this sort of stuff, so why don't I have it in my collection? As far as the controller goes, if you look at both of them together, I mean, there's obvious, differences and a couple similarities. They've got the same color. And then they've got the A-B button, start and select, and then the D-pad is right here. But that's basically where the similarities end, and the D-pad isn't even quite exactly the same. It holds a lot differently than the old NES controller, as it's more ergonomic. There's no real sharp points or corners for your hand or fingers to sit on, so you can actually hold it, and it supports itself very well. The A and B button, perfectly fine. They've got the turbo for each of them. Start and select, they're right there. They're not made of rubber as they are in the classic controller, but they're equally as responsive. The one disadvantage that I found with this controller, no matter what type of game I'm playing, is this D-pad. So this thing right here, it's not actually, like, this doesn't do anything. Basically, you're supposed to have your finger on it, and then as you slide it, that's what controls the direction. So you push it towards the direction that you want to push, and that's what dictates which direction you're going to go. I mean, you could alternatively just put your finger on the edge of the button that you want to face, but it's just like, it doesn't, your thumb isn't able to roll across the front of it as easily. Now, while this does work very well for a particular set of games, it doesn't really work well for all games. If you're doing, like, I want to say like the top-down type shooter, probably works just fine. But if you're doing something like a puzzle game where you need like that precise entry, I mean, really, I would just rather go for the slightly smaller D-pad. Although, I mean, it's not that bad going back and forth between directions. But, sometimes I end up hitting like the little circle in the middle instead of actually fully hitting the direction, so therefore I don't get a fully registered input. So finally, What I'm going to talk about is this nice beast. So I've actually had this for a very long time, and it's my favorite controller to play with in general, although it's not really what I would consider the best controller for all aspects of gameplay. It is, in a sense, just a nice arcade stick. The actual joystick is very responsive. I love it. And then like the nice big clicky buttons, they're fantastic too. Over on the side here, you've got your start and select, and then it also has options for player 1 and player 2. And that's just because like the actual controller itself has 2 cables, so you can plug it in for 2 players. It's got a slow button here, which basically spams the pause button. So while that works in some games, it doesn't necessarily work in all games. And then you also have your turbo switches, which for each of the buttons A and B, and then you have a gauge for like how fast do you want the turbo to be spammed. So it's definitely a nice it's a good game controller for like cheating a little bit. Like I could see playing like Galaga and stuff like that with the turbo one for like the A button. So basically you're just like spamming it as much as you possibly can. And then in comparison to like the NES Max and its like circular D-pad, this works much better. I mean, it's the joystick, like that's, I feel like it's trying to be a D-pad and a joystick, where if it had just been a joystick, it may have even worked just that little bit better. It responds very well and it plays very well, and the buttons are nice and big, so it's like you can sit this down on your lap or on the floor in front of you or on a table, and you can play with it nicely, and it works really well. But again, this isn't necessarily a controller that you use for all games. The games that I focus on with these ones are going to be these ones. These games, Star Soldier, top-down perspective space shooter, which you have free movement across like the entire screen, and basically you shoot lasers to destroy the enemy ships. Then we have Arkanoid. Arkanoid is a ball bouncing brick breaker where you move a ship side to side in order to break all the blocks on the screen. And then also Galaga, which is similar to Arkanoid, but in the fact that you're a spaceship on the bottom of the screen, you move left and right, and you shoot upwards towards the enemies that are flying down from above you. The NES controller works perfectly fine for all 3. But you know that this is what the system was made for, so it actually works well for all of it. I found that the NES Max controller, it only really worked well for like a Star Soldier type game. It probably worked really well for like Gradius. And I'm trying to think of another game that would actually be like that. But any of those top-down shooters, doesn't necessarily have to be like a space combat type one. It could even be like an army one or something like that, where basically you have a character in the screen and you're moving all over it and you're just shooting everything. That would actually work, because keeping your finger on the D-pad and then moving it around in the circle would actually be perfectly fine. It would seem natural. But for games like that, I also really liked the joystick. So if I was to pick between using this NES Max or using the Advantage, I'd probably go with the Advantage. The Advantage, I think, works really well for those Galaga or Arkanoid type situations where you're basically moving left and right, and you just want to spam a button to kill your enemies. So I think it works perfect for Galaga. I think it's my favorite controller to play Galaga with. And you know, it also works really well for Star Soldier because like the D-pad, while it is responsive, having the joystick to move around in like all 8 directions is perfectly fine too. But that's really what I found. I don't typically tend to use the NES Advantage for like Super Mario Brothers, or I mean, it could work with Legend of Zelda, but I'd almost rather use a D-pad. I don't know. I mean, I'm curious to see what you think. I mean, have you played with these 3 controllers? If you have, like, which one do you like? And is there a specific game that you like playing with a specific kind of controller combination? I'm really curious. Let me know what you think down below, and we'll see you guys later. You can't tell me who to love, Obi-Wan. You're not my father.